The Amazon is shrinking. It's happening fast. Healthy trees are falling to chainsaws. Rivers are polluted by mining, and animals that just a year ago were spotted by satellites are now gone. For some people, this might sound like bad news from somewhere else, something that's hard to understand or even care about. But for the 21 million indigenous people who live in the Amazon rainforest, this is a story that hits close to home because it's a threat to their very survival. Their cultures and knowledge of the forest, accumulated over millennia, are being stripped away as their lands are destroyed and they being pushed together into smaller and smaller pockets of forests. Deep in the heart of the Amazon, far from the prying eyes of the outside world, lie some of the last remaining sanctuaries where a few thousand indigenous people are eking out an existence untouched by modern society. Their lives are simple, yet deeply intertwined with the rhythms of the rainforest. They follow ancient traditions passed down from their ancestors, and have a profound understanding of the natural world around them. Yet despite their efforts to stay hidden, their way of life is under constant threat. As the world becomes more interconnected, their remote havens are slowly being encroached upon by the relentless march of progress. Roads are creeping closer to their territories, opening them up to the outside world and exposing them to diseases and other dangers. Illegal loggers and land grabbers are setting their sights on the valuable resources found within the tribal lands. And as the pressure mounts, the indigenous people are being forced to flee deeper and deeper into the unforgiving wilderness. But why do these tribes go to such great lengths to hide from the outside world? What are they trying to protect and why does it matter so much? Let's take a look at the fascinating reasons behind their decision to stay hidden. In the vast expanse of the Amazon rainforest, there are numerous groups of uncontacted tribes who have chosen to isolate themselves from the rest of society. One of the most well-known groups is the Sentinelese tribe, who live on the Sentinel Island in India. Despite numerous attempts by the outside world to make contact with them, the Sentinelese have remained hidden and continued to live according to their own customs and traditions. These tribes have good reasons to stay hidden. One of the main reasons is to protect themselves from diseases that can be harmful to them. These diseases can be brought in by outsiders who may not realize that they are carrying them. Even something as simple as a cough or a cold can be deadly to an indigenous person who has never been exposed to it before. This is why many tribes go to great lengths to avoid any contact with outsiders, no matter how well-intentioned they may be. Another reason for staying hidden is to protect their land and resources. Many of these tribes have lived in the same area for hundreds or even thousands of years and have a deep connection to the land. They rely on the resources of the forest for food, shelter, and medicine, and they want to keep it that way. By avoiding contact with the outside world, they can prevent their land from being exploited for resources or used in ways that would be harmful to the environment. There's also the risk of exploitation and abuse. Many indigenous people have suffered at the hands of outsiders who have come to their land with the intention of exploiting them for their labor or resources. By staying hidden, these tribes can avoid becoming targets of exploitation and abuse. And lastly, it's about preserving their culture and traditions. Many of these tribes have unique cultures and traditions that have been passed down from generation to generation. By avoiding contact with the outside world, they can preserve their cultural heritage and pass it on to future generations. It's important to remember that these tribes are not uncontacted in the sense that they do not know that other people exist. Rather, they have chosen to avoid contact with outsiders in order to protect themselves and their way of life. The desire to maintain their autonomy and self-determination is a testament to their strength and resilience in the face of centuries of oppression and exploitation. Some governments have taken measures to protect these tribes by declaring certain areas as no-contact zones. However, enforcement of these measures can be weak, and there have been instances of outsiders entering these areas illegally. So what happens when outsiders do manage to make contact with these isolated tribes? Anthropologists warn that even a single encounter could be enough to wipe out an entire community. Diseases brought in by outsiders can quickly spread through the tribe, causing widespread illness and death. Since indigenous people have no natural immunity to these diseases, they can be extremely deadly. One famous example is the impact that European colonizers had on indigenous populations in the Americas. Smallpox, measles and other diseases brought over from Europe killed millions of indigenous people who had never even seen a European. Even if outsiders have good intentions, such as wanting to help the tribe or learn about their culture, contact can still be dangerous. The presence of outsiders can disrupt the tribe's way of life and cause unintended consequences. For example, bringing gifts or supplies to a tribe may seem like a kind gesture, but it can also create dependency and disrupt the tribe's traditional economy. In some cases, contact with outsiders has led to violence and conflict. When resources become scarce, outsiders may encroach on tribal lands or attempt to force tribes to leave their ancestral homes. This can lead to violent confrontations and even war. There are documented cases of uncontacted tribes being attacked by outsiders for various reasons, such as land disputes or simply out of curiosity. In one case, members of an uncontacted tribe in the Amazon were killed and mutilated by outsiders who had snuck into their territory. It's important to respect the rights and autonomy of these isolated tribes and to avoid any contact that could put them at risk. Despite all these adversities, these tribes continue to persevere. They have a deep connection to the land and a strong sense of community that helps them overcome the challenges they face. They are constantly on the move, always ready to flee when threatened, and they are able to adapt to new environments quickly when cornered. They vanish deeper into the green, leaving behind only footprints in the soft earth and the rustle of leaves in the trees. Very little is known about these hidden tribes because of their successful efforts to stay away from outsiders. However, some anthropologists who have made contact with them describe them as peaceful and welcoming people who live in harmony with nature. They have a deep understanding of the rainforest and its inhabitants, and they use this knowledge to sustain themselves and their communities. To the outside world, they are a mystery, a living window into how our ancestors once lived. But to themselves, they are simply people, protecting their families, their culture, and their home. As the world becomes more developed and the pressures on the Amazon rainforest increase, the need to protect these hidden tribes becomes even more urgent. Their way of life is unique and valuable, and it is worth preserving for future generations to appreciate. But how can we do this effectively without causing harm or disruption to their way of life? This is a difficult question that requires careful consideration and planning. One way we can help protect these tribes is by supporting organizations that work to defend their rights and protect their land. There are several organizations doing this important work, such as Survival International, which works to protect the rights of tribal peoples around the world. We can also educate ourselves and others about the importance of protecting these tribes and their way of life. Many people are unaware of the threats that these tribes face and the importance of preserving their culture and traditions. By educating ourselves and others, we can create more awareness and support for their protection. Finally, we must hold those who exploit or abuse these tribes accountable. This means demanding that governments and corporations respect the rights of tribal peoples and hold those who violate their rights responsible for their actions. Protecting these hidden tribes is not just about preserving their way of life. It's about protecting the rich biodiversity of the Amazon rainforest and the vital ecosystem services it provides to the world. These tribes have lived in harmony with the rainforest for centuries and have a deep understanding of how to live sustainably in this fragile ecosystem. By learning from them and protecting their way of life, we can help ensure that the Amazon rainforest continues to thrive for generations to come. But perhaps the most important thing we can do is to listen to the voices of these tribes and respect their wishes. They are the experts on their own lives and their way of life, and we must trust them to make decisions about what is best for them. The world may be encroaching on their lands and their way of life may seem foreign and mysterious to us. But we must remember that they are just people trying to live their lives in a world that is increasingly hostile to them. By listening to their voices and respecting their wishes, we can all work together to protect their way of life and the valuable contributions they make to our world. So the next time you hear about the plight of these hidden tribes, remember that they are real people with real stories to tell. Let's listen to them and do our part to protect them. Now, knowing about these hidden tribes, the question arises: can these hidden faces remain protected, or will the jungle's last guardians finally be forced into the open? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more updates on amazing content like this. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.